Hey guys, Aussie Expat here, Aussie Expat Watches today. It's the end of the year and we're going to do a little bit of an SOTC, but this one is going to be more like 12 quick mini reviews of watches and whether or not they're good for everyday use. So before we get started, I just want to say in the link down below, there is a link to our Discord, and in there we just have fun talking watches. So if you don't see videos from me, I'm still probably talking watches and talking with my friends or sharing memes, sharing watch prices and deals. Hit the link down below. We have a lot of fun. Please join in. So background here, I'm just going to throw up some of my hiking and outdoor videos. There's no channel for this, so don't go looking for it. I don't think anyone's really that interested. But I'm just going to give you a context like what my life is like. I'm an everyday dad. There's a few photos here. That's the F1. That's kind of cool. But anyway, it's just giving you a concept of my everyday life. Like a watch has to go through this kind of stuff, or, you know, much less than that, just wrestling with my kids at home. Preparing food. I did a lot of cooking this year. My everyday life consists of, you know, effectively outdoor activities, taking care of kids. It's not glamorous, you know, Ferraris and Porsches and stuff like that. I go to fine dining maybe once a month, and maybe dining out, you know, where I want a nice watch still, maybe 2 or 3 times a month. So in general, I'm looking at watches that are in general hard use. A little bit versatile is fine, but if they're just good at hard use, that's the best. And a quick background, I don't normally keep more than one watch at home at a time. I eat the one that's on my wrist. So they have to survive everything that I do. So if they're too fancy, it's not going to work out. So I do have a luxury collection, but I don't have things like Patek and AP at this stage because, you know, I could probably swing it as like on a special occasion I'll wear it out. But in general, the best watches that I have, it's like a collection of just everyday watches. Like a lot of these, I'm going to evaluate as whether or not they're a good one and done. Okay, first off, let's start with the beaters. We have the Moonswatch, this thing. So this is the Mercury. I wore this one day this year. It's not a good watch. It's not a good watch, not a good everyday watch at all. So it's plastic, you know, bioceramic, whatever they say. I mean, it does look like this, but it is plastic. It's very cheap. None of this is good quality. Like it doesn't line up. Like, that quartz movement, disgusting. Okay, reset it. You can see it's not aligned, like typical Omega. It's not aligned very well, although it doesn't look too bad today. I don't know if it's like inconsistent with like where it's resetting to. But yeah, not a great watch. I do not recommend this. It is way overpriced. Look, I don't mind Velcro straps that much, but I don't know. Nothing about this watch is good. Wore it one day, I guess, as a laugh. And if you see these in public, you know, cool. It's probably, you know, a watch guy or whatever. So it's a quick, cheap signal that they care about watches to some extent. But it's sort of like, there's a car term, right? All show, no go. That's what the Moonswatch is. So next watch is a GShock. So this year I turned 40. I wanted a 40th piece. I'm still working on that. I'm looking for something completely outrageous in the luxury space. But on the beta front, until then, we've got this. So GShock turns 40 this year. So I've got an anniversary case back there. This is not like a 5600 square watch. So when I was growing up in the 90s, and the watch that I had was a round GShock. So having a round GShock is more authentic to my youth. And you see here when the light's up, there's a little 40 in the background there. It's got this gold clasp, 4 stars since 1983, so the year of my birth. When I saw this, I just sort of had to have it. I wanted a circular GShock. I don't have any. Unless you count the Casio, but I don't really count those. Those are not, they're barely GShocks, honestly. And they have like a lot of the model references through the years on the resin strap. So I wore this like maybe twice this year, maybe 3 or 4 times, you know. At nighttime I wore it more often. It's just a fun watch. My wife got it for me, delivered from Japan, and very happy to have this, just a fun piece to signify the year. And of course, a G-Shock is always good for every day. I guess it's not elegant enough that you'd want to be wearing it, you know, going out to eat or something like that, but you'll be forgiven. It's a Casio, you can't go wrong. All right, that's it with the beaters and the shitters. Let's get into the luxury collection. Okay, as we can see here, we've got a case of 10 and 1 on the wrist, so we're up to 11. We're up to 11, that's a lot of watches. So let's kick off with the ones that are new to the rotation this year, and starting off in the top left corner is the Batgirl. So, I've had this watch technically since 2021, but it stayed in the safe effectively until, you know, appropriate event came up, appropriate celebration came up, and that did come up with the 10th anniversary of my wife, so I got her a gold Daytona. She gave me the Batgirl. So, what do I think? So I wore this a fair bit this year. You know, obviously a new watch in the rotation. When I first, you know, tried to acquire it, this was easily the watch that I felt was the #1 watch in the Rolex collection. I still think it's the best GMT. You know, I don't like the Pepsi. It's, you know, too purple. I just don't see the colors very well. I think that I've had an experiment where this year I put the Hulk's Submariner brushed bracelet, the oyster bracelet, on this, and it didn't gel very well in my book. You know, the GMT, put it on the Jubilee, it's the way to go. Even with this color variant, even though there's a lot of people sentimental about putting this on oyster. Honestly, on oyster, there's just not enough differentiating it from a Submariner. You know what I mean? So I feel that the Jubilee gives you something different in a collection. But a recurring theme here is that anything with polished anything, I'm not really that keen on right now, you know, because I'm wearing the watches like for like a month straight or something like that. And it means I'll be wearing this hiking, I'll be wearing this going out, wrestling with the kids. And it's just, you know, this is a baseline Submariner, and then with, you know, a slightly fancier bracelet on it. It just, I don't know, it's like taking a rugged watch and then dressing it up a little bit, which is kind of what happens with sort of like Submariners and two-tone. So as the year wore on, actually, I started thinking about the GMT Master 2 line and thinking of it less and less, actually. I think overall I prefer the Submariners. You know, they're just a better everyday watch. And if you want color, then you've got, you know, the full colored bezels on the green of the Sprite, or sorry, not the green of the Sprite, but the green bezel on the Starbucks. You know, so if you want that color, now I've got the Hulk, so I've got a lot of color. So I've got my options in terms of Submariner. The GMT is not something I'm super enthused about as a line these days. I see it as sort of like the same role that a two-tone Submariner would. Like you've got a sports watch on, but you're trying to be just that little bit extra fancy. Now, it does have a complication. I don't find GMT complications that useful. I don't interact with many other time zones. And even if I did, like I'm traveling, I think the GMT hand on the GMT Master 2 kind of gets lost a little bit. It's a little bit easy to lose. And we'll see with the Explorer 2 coming up. That's actually my preferred GMT watch for traveling, just so I can see it. Overall, a very flashy piece. Whenever I sort of, like, this is kind of still a flex piece though, as in it has all of the hallmark Rolex stuff to it. So, you know, Cyclops, you know, slightly bigger sports watch, and then with the Jubilee bracelet, this just screams Rolex. So if you want to sort of like flex on a more everyday crowd, this one has a lot more bling and shine to it, and the coin edge bezel, it sort of has a lot of surfaces to shine. So if you're going into, you know, a place where there's a lot of sort of lay people not really too aware of watches, this is the one out of my collection, like if you want to do that kind of flex. I'm really not interested in doing that kind of flex very often, but I do recognize, like, looking in the, you know, reflection or something like that, it's like, whoa, that's pretty pretty out there shiny watch. So yeah, overall, I would not get another one of these. Like, I'm not yearning for the Pepsi. At the start of the year, I was like thinking, should I get a Pepsi or something like that? I was like, not really. This is fine. This is good. Until Rolex completely revamped this model, so a completely new GMT Master 2, I'm probably not interested in getting another one. Color variations, not a big deal to me. Another new addition to the collection is the Air King, the new Air King. So the reason I got this watch, quite frankly, I'm a bored degenerate. I don't think it enhances my collection. Like, if you look at it as a whole, the Air King was completely unnecessary, right? But as a watch on its own, I really like the Air King. So closer look. So this is just a quirky watch. You know, so the amount of numbers on this, on the face, it probably rivals the entire sports catalog combined, right? So there's a lot of numbers on the face. The touch of green is very, very tasteful. It's a little bit of fun. The yellow crown logo, the writing of Air King. It's just a fun, crazy watch. And the sort of like the background of it being, you know, a tribute to a failed attempt at a speed record, and then, you know, subsequent to that, they make a version 2 of the watch. It's just even funnier, you know. Anyone I tell the story to about what this watch is a tribute to, they think it's as silly as everyone else does. It is a very, very silly watch, in my opinion, in terms of like its existence. But I love it. I think the addition of the crown guards, the thinner case, you know, I really disliked the original Sports Air King, the one just before this. Because I just hate the idea of a parts bin watch. I said, oh, it's a cheap Milgas. No, I don't want a cheap anything. I'm already paying like thousands and thousands of dollars. Why would I want a cheaper version, quote unquote? Like, the money is not, you know, the main driver. That being said, this is a very affordable Rolex in terms of the catalog. I think it was like 6,800 or something like that, or 7,000. You know, it's in the mid thousands range rather than, say, the low 10,000 plus range, which is where the GMT Master and Submariner are now. I kind of got the taste for having like a luxury, quirky watch, and I think quirky is the right way to put this. It's not, you know, silly or necessarily ugly. I think this looks much better now with the addition of the 0 on the 05 and the indices are now loomed. I think it looks just like looks like a very competent, nice watch. Obviously, it's in the Flieger style, but, you know, the polished steel bezel is not something I really like for every day, and that's something I'll talk about on the Explorer 36 as well. I would not get this as a lone one and done every day. It's okay, it's good, it's sporty, it's you know, it's fine, but I really would prefer overall, like if I'm down to one, a watch that really doesn't show its scratches very easily at all. And, you know, this bezel is something that I have to take care of, quite frankly. Other than that, rugged watch, fits beautifully, easy link and not glide lock. So, you know, I wouldn't recommend this for many people unless they're a degenerate collector like me and they've gotten just about every other sports watch in the catalog. There's a very competent watch. Between the Explorer and this in 40, I would totally go this. Like, the Explorer is probably a better one and done, but I don't know, this is just fun. It's just a little bit of fun. So, yep, that's the Air King. Next up, let's take a look at the Pelos. And I think actually this video I'm wearing the Pelos. So, yes, Pelos FXD. So, this one, you know, when it came out, the blue one, I just did a review of this. I won't spend too much time on it, but I'm loving this watch. This watch has been on my wrist 90% of the time since I've gotten it. And that includes time that I've acquired a new watch, that Air King. Like, the Air King has like, I think 11 days of use on it. This one has like 70. and most of that did overlap with the time that I had the Air King. So yeah, very, very cool watch. What can I say? If you like the look of this, get it. If you don't like the look of it, don't get it. It's really that simple. To me, I saw this in the store and it just really sung to me. I already know the Pelos is a very, very, you know, hard-wearing watch. and I wanted something that looked great on a strap because I'm doing a lot of hiking and that sort of outdoor stuff. I just wanted something on a strap and not a bracelet, you know, one less thing to think about. And, you know, the FXD in blue, really, I didn't like that at all because trying to find blue straps is just very difficult. But this, with the bezel going in the right direction, the numbers going 1020 instead of the reverse on the FXD blue, it's just a very, very wearable, very durable watch. It's not super versatile, right? Like, I don't really want to wear this fine dining. But as I said, you know, the fine dining is something I'll do like once or twice a month at most. So this is just fantastic. And it's, you know, in reality, if I'm wearing the Air King, I don't like wearing that in the evening, like just before bed, because, you know, it's got that bezel. I don't want that unnecessarily scratched up by, say, like the bed sheets, or if I, you know, my wife hugs me or something like that, her rings or jewelry clashes up against that watch, it's going to scratch it. But this one, you know what? This will be a beater for life. Honestly, I don't understand how this one would ever be replaced. I'm just in love with this watch. It seems like a very superfluous watch, right? But geez, I just love it so much. Okay, so the next ones, I'm just going to go in order of the least worn to the most worn. And unfortunately, least worn is the Explorer 36. What can I say? How can I explain this? I love this watch. I especially love the size because, you know, when you've got a collection of like 38 to 42 mil watches going down to this, which is effectively 35.4, so technically a 35, it's just a very refreshing watch to put on the wrist. And it's just so classy and not in your face. It's just a very, very good watch. I would be, even despite my, you know, day count only being on this like about 11 days or something like that, and being the least worn in my collection, I would still say I'd be happy if all my collection was just this one watch. At that point, I'd be less concerned about putting any scratches on the bezel, and I would just turn into a hard use watch, and it could be its best self, you know, the Explorer doing all of the sporty stuff that I do. It's just an elegant watch. See, look at that case side. It's not slab-sided like the other sports watches. It's elegant. It's cool. It's not shouting in your face. It's just, and it wears impeccably because it's just so light because of how the size of it. I still love this watch. If you look at it on paper, you know, only wearing 11 days, it's like, okay, maybe it's time to get rid of it. Because I think last year I didn't wear it that much either. I've got harder wearing watches. And then if I want something a little bit fancier, a little bit more subtle, I could wear the Speedmaster or the Daytona or even the Black Bay 58 or even Submariner, you know, those all fit. So I think the reason this just isn't getting the time is it doesn't have its own niche. Like it doesn't excel at one area like a lot. And then, you know, if it doesn't do that, then it just means that I can't wear it that much because I'm wearing these sort of like a one watch at a time, but I am trying to take care of them too. So it sort of ends up on the short straw. I deeply regret saying that, but there's no chance that this is leaving the collection. Okay, next up is the Tudor Black Bay 58. I do have the bracelet version, and I'm just putting it on a strap for now. I'm just, you know, a little bit of a strap mood at the moment, and this is just really good for like the Christmas season. And I'm just struck by just how beautiful this watch is. It's very, very beautiful. And so while this is second least worn, it's somewhere around 20 days. It's pretty sizable, especially considering its value compared to the amount of time. So this ends up being one of the best value watches. So the amount of wrist time for how much spent on it. It's just a gorgeous watch. Like that gilt is just so warm and inviting. And I've grown more and more in love with this watch the longer I've had it. There's really no question about it. I'm loving every aspect of it, including the bracelet with the quote-unquote the faux rivets is not an issue, guys. It's not an issue. If it had sort of like a more modern bracelet, it just wouldn't suit the aesthetic, I think. So beautiful, beautiful watch. Super reliable, you know, hot tubs, pool watch. It does everything. You know, if you only have, you know, less than $3,000 to spend, get one of these on the secondhand market. You don't need another watch. You really don't. You don't need a Rolex. Next up is the one on my wrist, the Pagos. Had a lot of fun, especially earlier in the year. This one ended up on the wrist a lot. I played around with some straps. I really enjoyed it. And that's what helped me make the decision to go into the FXD, actually, because I really did enjoy wearing straps with this. But, you know, I noticed, like, when you wear a strap, there's always these spring bars. And, you know, when this is going on a strap, it's going under the, you know, under my most hardcore situations, whether it's golf or hiking and stuff like that. So having a fixed spring bars in those situations where I'm wearing it on a strap, that is a good upgrade. So I do like having the FXD, but this is a fantastic watch. Could be someone's one and done, especially if you get the black one. You know, I wanted blue just for a little bit of variety in the collection. It worked out well in the long run because, you know, I picked up the FXD in black. Wouldn't have picked up the FXD in black if I had a black Pagos. So, you know, that is what it is. The bracelet's fantastic. There was talk of like QA issues of Tudor. See these scratches here on the diver's extension? It came like that from the factory. And it's not even scraping like when I do this. So I don't even know how they achieved that. I'm not upset. I mean, this, like, no one looks at that. Another thing people talk about is the clasp. And the fit on these Pagoses is sometimes a little bit iffy. They do have, you know, normal size, sort of like oyster style, and they're fully articulating, as in they're not bonded, so each link fully articulates. So in general, it is a comfortable feel. On the Submariner, the outer link and the inner link is welded together, so it only like pivots at one point here. So there's, you know, there's a fair, this almost wears like a Jubilee, in that the number of articulation points is pretty high. But just the overall length, like, you really need this at a perfect size because it is a tall boy. I think aesthetically it looks okay because it does have the helium escape valve on the side, so it sort of breaks up this slab side look. I mean, I think the Speedmaster is actually a similar thickness, but they do well to break down the mid case, and, you know, helium escape valve is one of those ways to make the mid case look a little bit less chunky. And then, you know, it's still like quality piece, like ceramic ball bearing there, so this doesn't wear over time. Very cool. I really love this watch. I just love that when I strap it on, it looks like diving equipment. You know what I mean? It kind of looks like diving equipment. Let me just put that on. And the thickness, like I've said in a few videos, I like the thickness. You know, sometimes you actually want it to hold up the cuff just a little bit, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't want to have to pull my clothes back over or sleeve back over if I'm like hiking around and want to look at the time. It's not an advantage for it to have been covered up. So the next watch is the Speedmaster, and this is a watch that in my head, and when I talk about Omega and Speedmaster, I badmouth this watch a lot. But lo and behold, all but the FXD, this is a highly worn watch. I think it was about like 40 days this year. So this is the 3861 2021 model. What was it? Late 2020, I'm not sure. So yeah, 3861. Bracelet is still fantastic. Clasp, well, you know, there's a little bit to be desired about it. You know, it's pretty simple clasp, and I have felt it sort of like not releasing at one point. And I've seen people who've, like, it's just completely locked up. So not a high quality clasp with no on the fly adjustment. So as a one and done, you know what, I can forgive it because, you know, the amount of articulation in these bracelets is really nice. On the Sapphire Sandwich, you get these polished links at the second and fourth link. So it lends a lot of versatility. This is very appropriate for both sport and for, you know, dining. It's a very versatile watch. You know, on paper, it's a thick boy, but when you wear it on the wrist, you sort of see this, you know, the mid case, this line here. They do a really good job of breaking it up. You know, it's a big sandwich from the side, but on your wrist, you don't really get that impression. You get this sort of like, oh, it actually looks thin, you know, when you're wearing it on your wrist. It's sort of, that's kind of what you see. And being able to see the edge of the bezel there, it's kind of nice overall. Winding feel on this, not very good, because it's sort of like buried underneath these lug guards. I really dislike that. I'd love to get the Ed White, no lug guards, but that's a pipe dream. So Omega's had a very tumultuous year this year, highly despicable behavior with the auction stuff. Go look that up. Highly, highly despicable, and involved the Speedmaster. What can I say? I thoroughly distrust the brand, and that is warranted. The scandal this year with respect to the auction. So for those of you who don't know, the sort of the cliff notes is there's a vintage Speedmaster that was certified by Omega's like library or whatever. So they said it was a legit, you know, 1957 Speedmaster, you know, one of the originals in very good condition. But the person who owned the watch was the head of Omega's authentication unit. And so it was his own watch, and it was a fake. And it wasn't just like, oh, he was duped into it. He purposely built the fake, including remanufactured parts and so on and so forth. They put it up to auction, and then it gets a very, very high value, even though at the time there's this speculation that this might be fake. And it gets a very, very high value at auction. And then Omega comes out saying, oh, this is a new watermark, and people are recognizing the Speedmaster is a fantastic collector's and investable piece, and we're very proud and happy, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it eventually comes out as like, no, this is very much a fake. We can show previous auctions for the same watch and so forth. It was never this original blah, blah, blah. There's clearly remanufactured pieces. This all gets uncovered, and it's like, oh my God, you know, the auction house is in trouble. Like, they sold this collector, you know, a dodgy watch. And it comes out that the buyer was Omega themselves. So Omega went and purchased the watch originally and then boasted about it. So it's a fake watch, fake bidding. I don't know what to say. It's probably the most distasteful story I've ever heard, especially from a brand. You know, there's always going to be scallywag business, but every player in this, almost every player in this, was a high up Omega official. What can I say? That background, like, the brand is toast to me, but it's still a cool watch. And, you know, when I wear it, despite everything my head says about Omega, yeah, I wore this a lot. I like this watch. And my son especially likes looking. Every normie just loves looking at it. Now, this isn't the best movement by far. You know, even the Tudor chronograph movements are better than this, but it's beautiful. Like I say, the normies love it, and I can't deny it's still a great looking watch. Okay, next up, sub 41 millimeters. Okay, what can I say? If you don't have a luxury watch and you can afford it, get this. That's all there is to it. There's no question that you can wear this doing literally anything, whether it's wrenching on your car or going to fine dining. You know, it's not too flashy of a watch for anyone. It's not too little of a watch for anyone. It's a cool piece for everyone. So yeah, this I like. It's hard wearing, do anywhere, go anywhere. There's really nothing wrong with this watch. Now, if I was doing a quick advising of someone to get one, I'd get the 11 series. Over time, I've just grown to sort of dislike the more elegant lug guards, but you know, when I first saw this, I loved it. So you know, this is going to be a matter of preference. My preference is starting to shift towards the 11 series, a little bit more blocky, sort of a little bit more masculine and rugged. I kind of like that. Apart from that, there's not many differences. The clasp on the 12 series is a lot wider than the clasp on the 11 series. So, you know, there is that. This gives it, you know, a little bit more of an integrated look. You know, from like 5 foot distance, this you know, the lug guard width here is so small and the taper so flowing, this looks like an integrated bracelet watch, which I've sort of grown to dislike a little bit more. My infatuation with, you know, any watch that has an integrated bracelet has definitely faded. Like, I'm not really into the Vacheron Constantin Overseas or the Tissot PRX. I have no interest in those watches. Still have a minor interest in AP, what they've done with the brand this year, my God. Who knows? But yeah, this is a good watch. I'm sort of slightly falling out of love with it for the 11 series. I saw a really good write-up on the 31 series movement versus the 32 that's found in this. And I probably agree. In the long term, the 31 series movement is probably the better movement. That'll still last generations each, but you know, it mostly boiled down to the rotor having a ball bearing now, and you can only get that as like a whole piece. You can't just replace a bushing like on the 31 series. Next most worn is the Explorer 2 Polar. So this is the last watch that I got that completed my sort of, you know, S-tier collection. Before I started buying any of the Rolexes, I sort of sat down with my wife and selected, you know, what is the ultimate collection. This rounded it off. I really love this. I think a lot of people don't love it. I think they're just sort of just less familiar with the brand, I guess, and not as infatuated as I am. I just love the orange hand on this. It's far more visible than the GMT hand on the GMT Master 2. I think this is a better GMT watch. I just love this watch. It's just so utilitarian. This is the tooliest tool watch that Rolex has, until you get to like the Sea Dwellers. But the Sea Dwellers are pretty shiny watches too, so arguably this one is more tooly. I really love how this looks. It's just so utilitarian. It sort of gives me the same feel of like wearing a Tudor almost, in terms of, you know, I'm willing to do anything with this watch. The brushed steel does a really decent job of hiding any scratches, so I haven't had any issues with that. Now, I have seen it is possible to refurbish this, refinish, and the jobs that I've seen look good on YouTube. It's got like a little chunky boy clasp. It's just easy link, so not glide lock, and it's just an underline here because it's not trip lock. I'm not exactly sure why they don't do trip lock on the Explorer 2. I mean, even the Daytona's got trip lock, but so this represents twin lock. Not that anyone really cares. It's still going to be waterproof. Lovely watch. I've worn it a lot, especially on hiking. Not that elegant though, I must say. Like, this is fine to wear to a you know, to a restaurant. You know, just, you know, put on the bracelet, but not the most elegant thing. Okay, the penultimate, the Hulk. So this is my second most worn watch. This comes down to the fact that, you know, it's so good in many circumstances. Yeah, it's a Hulk. It's ultimately still a Submariner, so it's still a hard-wearing watch. There are scratches on it. I wear it a lot. I wore this camping with my son almost every time. So this is a birth year watch for my son, so whenever I'm doing something special with my son, I try my best to get this on my wrist. With the way that things have been this year, with, you know, only wearing one watch at a time, that hasn't always been the case. But I do my best to get this on the wrist whenever I'm doing something special with him. What can I say that, you know, hasn't been said about a Submariner? I do like the 11 series. I do like this sort of like the chunkier lugs. It's really up to you if you sort of like that look. Originally I was like definitely preferred the 12 series. These days I'm enjoying this look a little bit more. This does not look good on a strap, unlike the black one. Not at all. It's got a more slender clasp. I like that a little bit. So in general, yeah, not much between them. I've just grown to enjoy this more and more and more. You know, and then when you're going out, this has, you know, it's still a little bit more of a flex than just the black sub, right? And so it's nice in those sort of higher end occasions. It's really good when going out with watch people because, yeah, it's a discontinued watch. So it's, you know, slightly less common than my other watches, which are, you know, incredibly common. So yeah, it's a special watch, but it's also a rugged watch. I'm happy to wear this in every single situation without any hesitation. All right, last but not least, my most worn watch for the year, the Panda Daytona, the old one, deprecated, discontinued. Yeah, so the old 11 series Panda. So this is the old one, you know, where the ceramic is exposed. Oh no, exposed ceramic on the edge there. It can get damaged. Oh no. I really don't understand the logic behind putting the rim around it. To me, their justification from a durability standpoint seems like something that would only be happening in servicing. Like if they're trying to remove it and cracked each time instead of having, say, a bezel insert and a metal bezel. But yeah, this is just a lovely watch. Now, its biggest downfall, it's got a lot of polished surfaces, but the face of the watch is ceramic and sapphire. You're not going to notice scratches on these pushes and crown as much. In general, it's not a hard wearing watch, but I would say it's slightly harder wearing than, say, the Explorer 36 or the Air King, just by virtue of the bezel being ceramic. So there is that. It does have a lot more polished surfaces, so a polished center link clasp. So I do have to baby this a little bit more, but not that much. I mean, this is steel, it isn't gold, so, you know, it's still reasonably hard wearing. And while, yeah, it is a flex, a lot of people have no idea what this is. It is lacking a lot of, like, the quintessential Rolex features, like a Jubilee bracelet or a Cyclops, and it's rare enough that most people will never have seen one in their lifetime in the wild. So, you know, I don't feel uncomfortable wearing it. So I rarely feel uncomfortable wearing this watch. And for that reason, it's my number one watch for the year. And the previous year. And who knows? If you only looked at the last 6 months of the year, my most worn watch is the FXD. I don't know if that'll change. I'm doing a lot more stuff at home now, doing a lot more cooking, doing a lot more outdoor stuff. I'm trying to really do better for my health. So I'm going to gravitate towards more of the harder wearing pieces, which, you know, the Daytona isn't actually the hardest wearing piece. So we'll see where we go. In terms of what I want for the next year, it's really still fulfilling, you know, my 40th birthday needs, and that is a special watch for that milestone. I'm trying my best to get a platinum Daytona. I don't know if it'll happen. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to cry about it. Certainly a precious metal piece is not something I absolutely need, and it certainly isn't really going to gel with my collection. It'd be something that comes out on special occasions, but it is nice to have a piece that, you know, is like ultra special for the special occasion. It's kind of like what the gold Daytona is for my wife. Like, it'll come out of the bank for a special occasion, and then, okay, maybe she'll wear it, you know, a few more times after that before it goes back in the bank, but it's certainly not. A precious metal Daytona would never be something that you would just say, like, that's going to be my Garter watch, my go everywhere, do everything sort of thing. Oh, hey, look, for some people it's true. Like, they will do everything in that thing. It's like, okay, that's fine. And it's not a security thing. It's just, you know, like, if I go hiking, I do wear the Daytona sometimes, but I mean, it's not the best watch for that. You know, I mean, I do have other watches. Like, I don't know what excuse there would be for me to wear, say, a Daytona, apart from I didn't have time to go to the bank to get something more appropriate. But I do like that it is still a Rolex. Like, you can still go out there and expect it not to be broken. So if you have any questions about my watches, hit the comments down below, or better yet, go into Discord. We'll have a chat, share pictures, share wrist checks. Alright, that's my SOTC. Until next year, guys, see you around.